Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 1 in 6 Support Montclair Friday group. We are very happy to have you here. We have a speaker today that we are excited to learn from, Emily Zimiles, who, I'm sorry, I said Emily, I meant Ellen Zimiles, who is from The True Professional, which is an organization that she will tell you about for direct service providers. And we are very happy to have her here. We just want to always say that we are recording this for the group at large, so please keep your child's name out of this if you do not want to share that, because it will be recorded. And keep yourself on mute and off the screen if you don't want to be seen. So thank you so much. And thank you so much, Ellen, for coming. This has been a long time coming. We had to change one of the dates. We're talking, I think we met in the summer.
Yes.
To have Ellen come and talk with us. And I, for one, am very excited to hear about this program because it really is going to have a big impact on my child and his life going forward. So Ellen, thank you so much.
Sure.
And if you could just introduce yourself and get started, we'd appreciate it.
Sure. And thank you, Alma. It was, I actually had reached out to Alma because somebody put me in touch with her saying what a great person she was and how you would just love to talk to her and blah, blah, blah. So we met a while back. And then she told me about this organization, which I didn't know about. I live in Maplewood and I have a son who's now 30 with what I would call profound autism. So we have been through a journey for a very long time. And we have gotten to the place where we had to figure out a living situation for him going forward. So I'll give you a little bit of background about that journey and then talk to you about the True Professional, which is an organization I started a little over 2 years ago. I have 2 children, my husband, Jonah, who's very engaged and involved in all that we do. And we determined that our son had autism when he was, 2.5 or so. We knew something was a little different. It was, again, he's 30, so this was a while back, and there was less than there is now, but still, it's always a hard journey. So no matter what it is and how good, it's always a difficult journey. Anyway, so we did a lot with him. We sort of went everywhere in the world we could go. We had an OT in Seattle. I went to a program in Israel, which was actually one of the best programs I've ever been to. It's called MIFNA, and they only take children up to age 5. We got him in when he was, 4 and 10 months, but it's the whole family for a month that you go there, and they are videotaping you. They change therapists every hour and a half. It's really a great program. We actually brought them in every 6 months, but it was really hard to keep that up. We had a hard time finding the right school and the right place for him. We eventually did. He's now at Independence 360. It was Academy 360. It was what TCI used to be.
The Children's
Institute, right? And but he's done very well there. But it took a long time to find the right place. It wasn't always easy to find the right place. We were Greenspan people, which meant we were crazy. To the school district, they thought we were, I don't know what, they thought we were insane. And but so we had to do a lot of work, ABA, non-ABA, Greenspan, how we do this. We had a home program. We've been through, you name it, we have been through it all. He is a very lovely guy. He's very physically able. He's, a good swimmer. He plays basketball, but he's very challenged, and it can never be he can't really be independent. He can't be by himself. But he can do a lot separate, he can do a lot with support. And he's just great to have around, but we needed to make sure that he would have something. I don't know if something's going to happen to me or my husband. In the meantime, while this was going on, we wanted to have a vocational program for people with autism. I had hired people in my company with autism, and we created a bookstore in Maplewood. It's called the Words Bookstore, and it has a vocational program for people with autism. We focus more on profound autism than the sort of lesser needs, more independent. It is, we've had over 150 people through the program, but it's also a place anyone can come and feel comfortable. The whole staff has been trained. I don't care if people make noises or make sounds or act a certain way. We have books that can be, if a book gets hurt, it's okay. But it's the idea is that this is a place for everybody, and it's a very welcoming place.
It's beautiful.
And so we have events there, 100 events a year, all different kinds of things. And it's really my husband who does that. What happened is we wanted to have a program, something. We saw during the first financial crisis that there were open storefronts in Maplewood. And there were stores that went out of business there. And there was a little bookstore on a side street. And it had a sign saying that they wanted to sell to somebody, hopefully someone local. It was Labor Day, I remember, and I was walking with my son and saw that. And I came home and said, what do you think if we buy that store and we make that the vocational program? And he said, I don't know what you're talking about. He said, I have no, retail experience. I've been when I was a bag boy, and when I was young, and I don't know what you're talking about. And he thought about it, and he came back to me the next day, and he said, look, that big furniture store it was called Richard Roberts on Maplewood Avenue on the Main Street, is open, it's left. If we take that space, which is a bigger space, I will do it. And that's what we did. And so Obama inauguration, 2009, we moved in.
Wow.
And that was, and it's been terrific. We have been ranked one of the top 5 independent bookstores in the country. It's been really good. Jonah has done, he did that, right? I had like an idea for it, but he actually executed on everything and really does an amazing job.
I wanted the bigger store.
Yes, he wanted, because he said the little one, he said, I get claustrophobic in that little store. I can't be in that store. And I don't think it's good for people with autism to work in that store. So we have there's a basement, it's like an event space. You can have 120 or so people in. So sometimes when we do the vocational program, people might just go downstairs and we have craft paper bags that have a sticker. Almost anybody could put a sticker on a bag. I don't care if it's exactly centered. I don't care what it looks like. There are tasks and productive work that needs to be done that we have sort of job crafted. And anybody can do those things. You have to come with a job coach. It's usually through a program that we have people. It's not one-offs because it's too difficult for us to manage a one-off here and there. But it is absolutely, and it's also just in general welcoming. Sometimes it'll just be a program who comes for a day and brings a bunch of, people, and they will just do it for a day there to sample as a job sampling program. So that continues on. That's, just a great deal. In the meantime, Dan is getting older and we didn't know what we were going to do. I have an older daughter. She's 35 now. And, she lived with roommates. She lived in different places. And I said, Dan, maybe it's time for you to do what Liz did, where you can go. And so we talked to him about it. We talked to a lot of people and we looked at a lot of different options. So I don't know how many people here, or in the room have children who are over 21. At some point, you're going to look to, no one's going to live forever. And you have to create something that will be sustainable for them. There are all different options. There's something called self-directed, where you actually do the work and you bring in people. I don't know if it's that sustainable because when the staff is out, you have to find the other staff. When things happen, you have to, and if something happens to you, it doesn't last anymore. So some people but do that and feel most comfortable doing that. I make no judgment about what anyone picks. For us, we decided that wasn't the model we were going to use. I looked at farms. I looked at campuses. We talked to people all over the world about what the best model would be. We brought in this professor from University of Delaware who sort of specialized in this. He came up to Maplewood and he said, people in the street know us and they know Dan. And we had a situation once where Dan did, where he went next door. We didn't know that he was doing that. But one day we're in the house and my old next door neighbor, we had moved from one house to another. My old next door neighbor comes knocking on the door and he said, is Dan here? And I said, yeah, he's right in the back. He's right there. He said, oh, good. Because I saw a young man on the street. I couldn't see, I thought it might be Dan. And I was worried that he was by himself. And that didn't seem right to me. So I just wanted to check to make sure that Dan was okay. And I said, well, I can never leave this town. I can never, if I have people who are looking out and who will know and identify that there's something up one way or the other, then I can't, this is where he's got to be. So we just made that was to me a big turning point when my former neighbor did that. So and Maplewood is like Montclair, it's a very nice, mushy town. Everyone is pretty friendly and supportive of each other. And certainly the bookstore, people know us from the bookstore. So in any case, we look around, we do a lot of stuff, and we make a decision that we wanted to get a house in Maplewood, someplace close to us that would be walking distance to town, walking distance to the park, to the train, et cetera. And so we looked, and one day we actually found one. It was, we didn't know, we didn't know. We were just sort of looking, didn't know exactly what we were going to do. And my husband said, you should look at this house. And he was supposed to go away to a wedding, actually. And he said, never mind, because we got to, I said, we have to see this house. We have to go this weekend. And it became a little bit of a bidding war, and we bought that house. We actually rented it out to somebody for a while to see how the house operated. And then right before COVID, we asked, they wanted to buy the house, and we said, no, we actually asked them to leave early. And we started not knowing COVID was going to be a thing, not knowing that was even happening. And we then started to sort of do some changes to the house to make it, most appropriate to the kitchen and a bedroom or two. And then during COVID, we just renovated that house. We put, furnished it, did everything we needed to do. And we had a couple people we thought of that might want to be in the house with us. But we also knew that we couldn't run the house, that we needed an agency or somebody to run it. We had known JSDD. That's the agency that we eventually selected.
Works with them. She's a supervisor.
Who?
Lena Anderson.
Wow.
Verona.
Oh, in Verona, yes.
Houses, yeah.
Yes, I know that I have worked with almost every house at JSDD through the True Professional. That's what I'm going to get to. And so
What does JSDD stand for?
Jewish Services for the Developmentally Disabled. It's in Livingston. It's based out of Livingston. They have something called the Way Center, which is a
Yeah, it's near
state
the circle.
program.
But
Right,
it's not just for Jewish people.
Yes,
Right.
yeah.
right.
Just, no, but it's some are, this is
Yes,
not
it's-
exclusionary. It's for everyone. It's just started by Jews.
Okay.
So in any case, we did look at different agencies, we did look at different things, and we knew the person who ran it, Linda Press, who was very nice and collaborative
Yeah.
with us.
Yes.
And so we decided we still own the house, but the agency manages that house, which means we still pay taxes on it. Just so you know, that's a different option you can have. You go with one of their houses, you can buy a house and give it to them. You can do there are many, many different ways to do this. We just decided we wanted to do it this way. And we started it. People came in. It was during COVID, so we could go every day. I was working from home, so it was much easier during COVID, and I could sort of go over, and Dan would go over with me every day. And he made his room the way, we put up photographs of things and maps and things that he liked. And it was no issue. The transition was like nothing for him. He went in, he was perfectly happy. Me, it was took a little more. It was it was difficult, but because it was so close, it was actually, I could see him all the time. I still see him all the time, but that made a very big difference. So we had a couple of staff that worked with us that we brought over, and they became employees of JSDD. And then there were some others, and I felt like not everyone understood the job, right? It's not a caretaker job. It's not I make you dinner and do your laundry job. It is a life skills coach. So the DSP, the term DSP, direct support professional, should be a professional, but it's not always. They don't get paid a lot of money. They are not really trained. The training that you get from the state is very much functional. It's like a task. Here's how you fill out a report. You do have to have, CPR training, and you do have to know how to dispense medication, but it's not foundational. It's not, this is your job. This is, you make a difference in people's lives. This is the kind of stuff. So in the meantime, I had brought in to help work with our house, a woman, Dawn Townsend, who is a PhD behaviorist. She started her own school in IEA in Bergen County. She is a consultant all over the world. And she was working with us to help train more the staff and really get things in place. So while I'm watching this is going on, and my job before that was very different. I'm a lawyer. I was a federal prosecutor for 10 years. I was a partner at a Big Four accounting firm. I had my own firm, and I was used to sort of a professional operation. I saw this and I'm like, this is not what I'm looking for, and it was very difficult. So in the meantime, my husband's father needed to go into assisted living, or we thought he passed away and never did, but I had to look at several assisted living places. Also, not so great. But then I saw one that was amazing. And the staff looked at you and they looked at me even when I walked in and smiled and acknowledged me. And you could see the engagement with the residents. And I remember going to the executive director and saying, where do you get these people from? And she said, I get them from the same place, but I send them all to the Ritz-Carlton leadership training.
Wow.
That's exactly my reaction was, wow, that's what you did. That's where, and Ritz-Carlton does have a program. They do a lot in the healthcare industry.
Oh, I didn't know that.
But all different industries. So I went and I took the program. I had to go to Chicago. They do it in different places. The next one they had was in Chicago. I went there and took it. It's a 2-day program. And in my group, in that particular program, there was someone from United Airlines or someone from a law firm, someone from a car dealership in El Paso, all different kinds of people. At my table, they sat me with a charter school from Inwood, people who were there. But the concept is really client service. Developing relationships with people, doing things in a certain way, not transactional, here's your food, but let's talk about the food, let's make it together, let's do this and let's sit together and eat while you're doing this. So I was very inspired by it. It's not exactly what I have now, but it was inspiring to do it. There's also a book called Unreasonable Hospitality by a guy, Will Guidera, he ran 11 Madison Park, which was on I've been listed best restaurants in the world. I don't know if any of you have ever seen The Bear, TV show The Bear. He's executive director of The Bear. He's been on a couple of episodes. Wow. It's all about his whole, Unreasonable Hospitality is the name of his book. And it is really about developing relationships. They are he was talking about it in a hospitality concept in a restaurant, but it really applies to everything. And as a consultant for most of my life, it's what I did too, it may have been with a bank or a crypto firm or somebody else, someone else, but it was the same thing. It's not a transaction, it's a relationship. So with that, I talked to Dawn Townsend, the person, and said, what do you think if we create something for the DSPs in these residential areas? Now, it can apply to anybody, frankly. It could apply to the day programs, it could apply to schools, but we felt like residential is the one that needed the most. There is less supervision. The weekends, there's not really structure. You don't have, managers don't always come in on the weekends and see what's happening. And certainly the night shift, they don't always see. And so we said, why don't we do that? So the first question is, well, what does good look like? What are we trying to find? What is good? And so we actually created metrics. We're the only people that have this, quantitative and qualitative metrics. So when you go in, we wanted to see, we do an assessment of people. We go in and we go to these houses and we watch the DSPs with the residents. And we note how many times they ask them questions and really listen for an answer. How many times is it more than a yes or no question? How do they collaborate with each other? We have all of these metrics. And we created something called the 5 C's, which are sort of the structure, the infrastructure for what good quality service is. So the first one is client-centered. You get confused about what to do, what's in the best interest of that client? That's number 1. I don't care about anything else. Number 2 then is, consistent engagement. Always being there, not looking at your phone, not talking to the other people, always being engaged in what's happening. Third is communication, oral, written. Many of the DSPs have not had great education. Some come from different countries and speak English. Some very well, frankly, and some not so well. And some of the people who were born here don't speak English very well and certainly don't write very well. So we do a lot about communication and texts. I would read text sometimes and I think I can figure out what this means, but I'm not exactly 100% sure. Then there's collaboration. How do you collaborate with your team members, people on your shift, people on different shifts, but the same house, people in the community, the doctors, the day program. So there's a lot on collaboration. And then the last one is comportment list of the C, which is how do you hold yourself? And it's a word that people don't really know. People don't always appreciate that word, but it is, you want behavior. You should be showing yourself behavior that you want the residents to model. You should hold yourself to a standard that you want them to aspire to. And people in the street watch you. Like I've had people say, "Oh, I saw Dan with so and so. They were so great." I've also seen people that I knew with DSPs, and I'm like, "Oh my God, that's the guy's on his phone the whole time. They're sitting, it's." And so I said, comportment is very important. So we actually do the assessments break it down to those 5 areas. We do an assessment first before we ever go in. We go into the houses, do that. Then we have it's now we actually can make it 1-day workshop in person, live. It's role playing, it's scenarios. We do all this work with them. And they have to engage. They must engage with us. We then give them an app. We created this app. It's on a platform called One Huddle, which it's gamified learning. So it reinforces what we've done in the class, but they can play with it at any time they want. They could do 5 minutes a week. I don't care, but it just reinforces the stuff. And then we go back a month later and see what's there. So we did that in a pilot with 3 agencies, one of the largest in New Jersey, one ARC type, middle size, and then one small, what I would call a boutique autism place. And the results were the same. Always incredibly impressive. When we went back, the assessments went up totally.
Wow.
Now, I don't know if it's going to be there in a year,
Right.
because if the place doesn't keep it up, it won't continue. But you could see that they understood things in a different way, and they operated in a different way. So we did that we started that in April 24. That's when we started the pilot. We then did a report in September of 24. For the next following year, we just did it in general. We had paying clients who brought us in. Sometimes they were about to open a house and they said, "Here, come and do everybody in the house this time," or they would just send people. So the JSDD houses, we've done almost every house I think we've done there. But several different agents. We probably have 6 or 7 agencies that we've done this work for. And so, but what we realized, so after a year of doing that, is if the agency internally doesn't really keep this up, it's going to fade. So we created something called an excellence in supports and outcomes function that should go in every agency, that they should have, separate from compliance. I don't, wherever the fire extinguisher is great. If they lock up the medicine, all of that is important.
Right.
All of it is important, but it's not what I'm focused on.
Yeah.
I'm focused on the quality of the service. And so we call it ESO, excellence in supports and outcomes, should be a function that this is someone's job, just to focus on quality. And they have to go around to the different houses and they have to work with them hand over hand. We did a lot of research, cross-industry research for non-degreed, front-facing people, frontline people who deal with clients who are not paid well. So if you think about retail, food service industry, things like that. We did a whole review of people in those industries and there's something that Harvard Business School has something called service to profit, which shows that if you train those people well and you support them in a certain way, then the quality of service will improve and client service will improve. So so that's the concept here, that you have to do this in a way that will consistently do that, but will be hand over hand, not just on the platform that we use. The app is just sort of to add to it, to supplement, but the actual work needs to be in the house with the people, hand over hand, in a very positive way. Not just coming in and assessing them and saying you stink at this and this and this, but how do you make it better? How do you empower them and make those people, and they have a really important job. They make the resident's life positive, enriched, or really negative.
Right. Absolutely.
And so that is empowering them is very important. And so that's now what we're doing is we have a pilot going on with one of the agencies that we've been working with to put in place this excellence in supports and outcomes function. And they are willing to do that. Now, the question is, how do you afford this? Do you have to have people? Nonprofit has a certain percentage of their revenue is supposed to be used for administrative costs. This DDD doesn't pay for this. DDD only pays for direct service. It can go, well, it might go into there, but overall, there is an administrative cost. And there you want to see 15% or below, that's administrative costs. So if you add a lot of administration, you will add a lot of things that don't provide direct service, then that goes to that. So the question is, they have to, redo their model. We're willing to work with them. I've done this kind of stuff
Yeah.
in other situations. How do you make sure your model allows you to put this in place? Because DDD does not pay for better service. They pay for service. So if you have a resident who wants to sit there watching TV all day, eating pizza, and they have a DSP that's with them, that's also sitting on their phone the whole day, maybe eating pizza too, they get paid for that work. They get paid the same amount as someone who sits there and said, you know what, let's go out in the community.
Yeah.
Pizza's okay, but you don't have to eat it every day. And let's try some healthy food option. Let's do some other things and really works with them. Let's get on the treadmill. Let's do something
Right.
physical, whatever. Let's play a game. That person gets paid the same amount as the
Yes,
person who's
they
sitting there
do.
on their phone.
Yeah.
So we talked to DDD about all this. We have a lot of, we talked to people in the new administration and in the old administration, and that's something that we're working on as well. And the goal would be that people who do the higher quality work, they can actually assess it, get paid more.
Yeah,
They
and
can
it's
get a higher
interesting that you
reimbursement.
said, because my mom has always, I think she's been with JSDT, I think 14 years, something like that. But she's always been that person like, okay, you're not just gonna sit around. What are the activities? One client, he doesn't want to do anything but sit at home, but she's like, take him out.
I know those those two apartments in Verona. I know them very well. I know.
Like, take them out. Kevin doesn't want to do anything.
Yes, I know him very well. I know the whole situation there.
Yeah.
And it's, sometimes it's a one-on-one, right? Where it's just one person in an apartment. Sometimes it's a whole house. And you may have multiple people in that house. And there's always a question of what the ratio is. How many DSPs to the number of people? There are all different ways to that you,
Yeah.
the job of those agencies is difficult. It's a very complicated job, and to do it in a certain way, but it cannot be the standard for high quality, cannot be there's no abuse and nobody gets hurt.
Yes.
That can't be the standard. That's so that what we're trying to do is increase that quality of service. And we have, metrics that you can see and assessments that you can do and a way to help people do that. But we cannot do it. You can't just parachute us in and it's going to be fixed.
So then
It's got to be the agency.
The fix, let's say, if you do have adult clients that don't want to go out, maybe at some point they were at least going to the library, et cetera, but now they just don't, they rather just sit home. So then, and technically you can't make them,
Yes,
to some extent, but then what do you do? What is?
You have to continue to give them options, give them more options even in the house. You work with them and see what they, how you move the needle, but you can't just accept it as it is and say, okay, I don't have to do anything anymore. Even if they don't want to leave the house, come up with different things within the house, then move. Okay. And frankly, a lot of them do very well with schedules. If you put something on a schedule, then sometimes they'll do it, even though they don't want to do, but they know it's on their schedule.
Even if it's a Zoom class, at least that's something other than just
Right.
sitting on and watching TV.
Correct. Coming up all, with the other options. There is night staff that doesn't have a lot to do, and they're not allowed to sleep. It's a wake staff position.
Yeah.
All night long, those people should be coming up with going on the internet and coming up with activities that the day staff can use. Or the day staff can think of their own activities, give them, they're not always empowered. I've heard them say, well, this is the schedule and that's all I can do. I said, really? You can't think of something else to do? You think you're not allowed? Call the supervisor and say, I want to do something else. Nobody, as long as it's thoughtful.
Yeah.
So we actually have a process whereby when you come up with an activity, here is what you do before. You have to make sure, there's a bathroom there. You got to make sure that you can get there a certain way, that there are, I remember one time they went someplace and then they didn't know that there were parking meters you could only use with a credit card. And that created a whole problem, right? So you have to prepare, and you prepare the residents. Go online and show them where you're going. Do you have some discussion with them? Then when you go, it's not for the DSPs to have a good time.
Right.
It is for the residents. They have to take them around and go and be with them and explain to them. And then when they finish, there's a post-activity work that should be done, discussing it, going through that, writing something, doing something about it. So that
they all have a budget, so.
they all have a budget. They can all, and there are a lot of things you can do that are for free.
Who has the budget, the DSP or the?
No, the individual.
the individual?
There's a budget for the individuals.
And this is over 21 or 18?
Over 21. This is all over 21. This is what I'm talking about is all, so you're,
Yeah,
for
no,
you, it's a long way away, but
but-
yes,
Well, so the 20, the DSP is like a 1-to-1 aid?
not always 101. It depends on the needs. Depends, you get assessed.
Oh,
There's an assessment done before you go, and you get, it's called, you can get A through E and then acuity.
If your child needs to be, like, if your child has a one-on-one para,
Yeah.
it's sort of a similar idea. It's, does that
Needs-based.
person need, yeah, it's needs-based.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's not really, for example, which I think is the right thing, it is not diagnosis based. So not everyone with autism gets the same thing. It is, they look at, I will tell you, it is a very difficult, it's called the New Jersey Cat. It is very, it's really, for anyone who's done it, it's very difficult because you have to look at your child on their worst day.
I'm about to do it.
Well,
Very important that you do it correctly the first
Yes,
time,
and make
because
sure and if your child could kind of do something, the answer is no, they cannot.
Right.
Yeah.
Don't be proud of your child.
Exactly.
this is the time to really think, if my child were by themselves in an apartment, would they, yeah, maybe they can take a
Absolutely.
shower by themselves, but would they take a shower if nobody told them to? These are all, you
Would they use soap?
really have to
Right.
think about the question.
Yes.
Are they washing their hair? Are they washing the soap out of their hair?
Right.
Like, every single question has to be answered as though they're by themselves. Would they be doing these things if they weren't prompted, if they weren't, and that answer would be a no,
And
they
that-
cannot
and
do
that
it by
affects your
themselves.
budget, how much money
It
you
affects your
get.
budget.
Yes.
You, or they're asking
You.
the
Yeah, I'm gonna have to fill all of it.
Us online or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yes.
In person.
Talk to us, Beth and I have done it already.
so I will tell you, I couldn't do it. My husband did it. He said, you go away. I mean, I was like, because I always, it's natural to be positive and to be optimistic and
Yeah,
think,
wanna be.
what are you gonna, what,
Right.
you look at them in the best light. For this assessment, and it's correct, you have to look at them in, what are they like, exactly as Alma said, if you weren't there, if no one was there, would they cook? Would you allow them to cook by themselves? If no one is there, would you allow them to do, cross the street if nobody was there? You go through all of these things,
50-50 or 70-30, then you still
So-
gotta say no.
right? It's not, there's no sliding scale.
Okay.
It's like
Like,
what,
sometimes he does it.
It's.
Right.
You just
one or the
gotta say
other.
no.
Very emotional doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can imagine, because I mean, just doing that with Perform Care, and it's like getting the CMO, it's like, I'm trying to be honest, but at the same time, I'm like, it sounds so bad, it hurts you.
And,
Yeah.
and our
It's
son,
these things.
But then it's gonna hurt later when
Yes.
there's another $40,000 or $50,000 that your kid needs for the year that they don't get because
You
you know.
didn't share.
or the
everything.
ratio is different, right? The ratio in the house or wherever might be, is it 1-on-1? Is it 1-on-3? So how many people does that DSP have to address at the same time?
and you can appeal. So for example, we were given, I mean, my son needs 24-hour supervision. It's life and death.
Mhm.
We were given a number that did not give him supervision, and he has a syndrome. I mean, you would think that this is so known, if you know about the syndrome, we've described it in the form, and they still gave us a number that would not give him 24-hour supervision. So we had to, and they gave him the least amount of supervision, which means the smallest budget.
Right.
We had to go back and go through the whole thing again
Wow.
and we consulted with a lawyer
Okay,
first
so
to
you
find
used a
out
lawyer.
how to do it. And we had to do the whole thing again, and then he got what he needed.
Oh,
So
that's
don't be
okay.
deterred if you
Okay.
get denied or you're given, a very small budget for no supervision, because you can appeal.
But
And
it's
you
a
have to
whole
appeal,
process.
but it's a whole
That's
process.
And you don't want to
So
have
you
to
want to get it
appeal.
right the first time,
Right.
is
Yeah.
what I'm saying.
You don't have to fight against what you had before.
And it's time.
And it's over 21.
Budget.
It's a lot of time, yeah. But do it right the first time, and just come here.
I know.
Come here and I will help you,
Right.
or someone will help. Just enlist the help of someone the first time.
That's what I'm doing. Oh, it's super important.
It's very
He just
important.
turned 18. I'm glad I was actually gonna come in like, now I gotta do the guardianship
Yes,
thing.
Yeah.
yes.
Guardianship is also important. You got to do
Yeah.
that, right? You can't, they get into an accident, they go to the hospital and you're not, there's no
Yeah,
guardian.
because I-
You're not allowed to see their medical
I
records.
have a letter from the doctors or the insurance that says, well, your child just turned 18, so I can't even see. I'm like, she can't make her own appointments. You
Right,
can't.
exactly. See, that's why at 18, guardianship is actually crucial to get done. And it's ridiculous, right?
Is it pretty easy to do that though? The 18, the guardianship?
It's a
No.
process.
No.
Is it really?
Everything's a process.
Everything's.
And they
You have
appoint
to
a
do it.
guardian, they appoint somebody from the court appoints somebody.
Learn like 4,000.
But the court has someone appointed.
Yes.
It was there for your,
Like one person.
they appoint, but that's not your lawyer. That's the lawyer for your child. And they are looking at you to see whether you're a good guardian or not, or you're the right person. And they do all that so that you have your own lawyer.
Okay, yeah.
No, you get through it, but I'm just saying it costs money to do it. It's not that
does.
it costs, legal fees and that kind of thing. But at the end of the day, you got to do it. You got to
It's
just.
one good thing now that, okay, she's Medicaid approved, and then someone told me go through the insurance company, so now she's in a different department. That was another 45-minute phone call / interview, and so she's gonna send me this, it's similar to, it's not a medical proxy, but it's something similar. So that it goes in her chart, so that they know that, I am able to make appointments and know information about her, appointments until the guardianship comes, until I'm done with guardianship.
Oh,
So which is pretty nice that
That
she,
is
cause I was like, look, okay, what are we gonna do here? So
yeah.
she actually just emailed me the form yesterday, so I'm gonna fill that out. So now when I'm making appointments or I need to call, this will be like on her record. Yeah.
Look, I don't know if any of you have children who are, more typical children who go to college. I
Yeah.
remember when my daughter went to college, I couldn't see her medical records unless she allowed me to.
Exactly.
I couldn't see her grades unless she allowed me
You
to.
have to
Right,
get
because
to-
once they're
to
18,
prove it.
Yeah, adults.
They're adults.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can pay
No,
$10,000 to be adults.
Yes.
So you can't see their grades.
Yes. Yes.
No, that's not.
Well, I know someone who said to their,
You fill out, you have the child fill out.
My
you have
Your
to-
child has to approve.
Permission.
yeah, my daughter gave permission immediately, which was great. But I have a friend who they found out through the grapevine that their kid wasn't doing well because they had another friend whose kid went there. So then they said to their kid, well, you know what? I'm not paying your tuition
Mhm.
until I see your grades.
Oh,
Yeah.
there you
And
go.
I need you to give me access.
Of course.
Come on.
I need you to give me access or I'm not paying.
No, that's
That's
non-negotiable.
But there
Yeah.
is a way to get able to see their charts, their medical,
Okay.
like my son is now not in the US, but he's 23, but we still want to be able to help him and see his, this is the brother of the guy, he's a twin.
Twin. Oh,
They're a typical twin and then
I got one of those.
a.
And I'm a twin.
Oh, you
Oh, you are,
Yeah,
okay.
so.
I always forget that.
Yeah.
So I just for the people who are on here. So I just wanted,
Sorry.
so so that's really what I do. That is what my day-to-day life is. I go around and talk to people about this, but I also work directly with the agencies and with the government and with different non-for-profits. So for example, one of the things that we do, if I think about what the true professional is, it's really 3 different buckets. The first bucket is providing those workshops. And we do that constantly. We just put out a schedule. So every month from February through June, we have a list of them now that people can attend. The second one is providing the consulting and creating this excellence in supports and outcomes, function within these organizations and really consulting to the providers on that. The third is also a recruiting transformation. Sometimes all they recruit from is they go on, you put an ad on Indeed and you get whoever responds. Sometimes it's, well, I'm going to either apply for this or go to Target or Walmart and whoever pays me 50 cents more an hour, I'm going to go to, versus people who really who have an interest in this. Some people really have an interest in this and do this and go through Indeed, but many do not or don't even know what the role is. So we have a partnership with an organization called Next for Autism, which is a national organization. And if we are the New Jersey partner for them, and we have to find, our job is to recruit students from different universities and to then, and they will they get a job, part-time job at these houses, usually on the weekends or sometime when they can do it. And then Next will give them a $5,000 tuition subsidy. So we had our first person that we had just started, and she's from Montclair State. It's called Next for Autism.
Next for Autism?
Next for Autism. Do you know the Next, right? They do the Night of Too Many Stars,
Okay.
Isn't the owner on the Nest?
Nest. So Laura Slatkin, yes, is on the board of,
My son was at Learning Spring in New York, Learning
Uh-huh.
School, and they were big. And yeah, I do a
Supporters.
collaboration with them too.
yes. So Next has a lot of really great people. I mean, Tommy Hilfiger does a lot of support for them, all different. So there's a couple
Is
called
that
Michelle,
CST or
NEXT.
Oh,
Next.
Nest is the handle company, which is, yes, but Next, it's called Next for Autism. And Laura,
Housing, right, for the adults?
they don't really, so they're really more of a funder.
Okay.
Next, did a lot of things. They tried to do a lot of services, but they're really much more of a funding organization to fund other things. So they now fund us. I get a grant from them every year to do some of the work. And now they also now will be the supply the tuition subsidy for the students, and they call them fellows. And they have a cohort around the country, like they do this in Chicago and in LA and in New York. And so now the New Jersey people will be part of their cohort where they have monthly meetings with them. They want the true professional to do all of the workshops for all of the people in these groups. And they really want to increase the quality of service. But they don't provide the services. They fund others to get the service. It's like United Way or something like that. That's sort of how they are in autism. So we have a very nice relationship with them. And that's what the true professional is. So it's those three buckets, really. And that's what we do. So that's what I had talked to Alma about. Actually, we've even moved further since we talked that in the summer. And we put out a report in October of 25 about the ESO function, this excellence in supports and outcomes, with our research on this. We talked about the Harvard Business School research. We talked about there's another thing called instructional rounds that the Harvard Graduate School of Education has. And I was talking to a friend of mine who is a principal at a school, a typical school in Florida. And I was telling her about this concept that we had about going around to the houses. She said, "Oh, Ellen, that's just like instructional rounds." I said, "Well, what's instructional rounds?"
Yeah.
And she said, "It's what the Harvard Graduate School of Education has. They have a program," because we went to it. I went to it with my, teachers from my program, where you go around and it's based on the rounds you would do at a hospital. You go around to the different places and you see how people are doing and you work with them on site, hand over hand together to sort of understand all this. And she said, "What you're talking about is exactly what we learned in that graduate program." And it's the same. It's not like we are the geniuses of the world.
This
It's
is basic
basic-
human
Correct.
kindness and,
And common sense.
and common sense.
Yeah.
It's just, this is so obvious and it's so shameful that we're at a place where we're like, wow, this is really great. It's like, how is this not already institutionalized,
Right.
part of the system? And
Yeah.
so thank you for doing this, because it's something that, of course, every group home, every program should have.
How many houses are there like set
Yeah.
up? This is.
How many houses in New Jersey?
Is it?
I mean, there are 30,000 DSPs in New Jersey alone.
Oh.
Now, some of them may work in I may work in a day program, may work in the residences, but it's a huge number. I mean, I think Maplewood has 13 group homes alone. I'm sure Montclair has many more than that. You don't even know. You don't know what they have. You don't, and then there are apartments. There's
Yes.
a lot of supervised apartments coming up. So because a lot of the builders who create, these larger apartment complexes need to have low-income housing credits,
Yes.
they will often give that to, so because the residents are all on Medicaid typically, or they can get, so they have a couple of apartments and you see it all over. I mean, how many big, large.
There's a bunch of them. There was a big thing on news.
In
Yes.
Montclair, that will be a part of the Lackawanna Plaza building, that they have to have a certain number of apartments that are designated for people with disabilities.
It could be for seniors. It could be
Yeah.
for, just low income people, period.
Yeah.
But it's also, when you have, typically people, seniors or people with disabilities don't have children that are going to use the school system.
Right.
It's actually, so from a certain point of view, it's helpful because it doesn't take other resources away. And they need to. Almost all these towns have some order against them saying you don't have enough low-income housing, right? Almost every town. If you think about Milburn and Maplewood and Montclair and Summit and all these every town has something like this, so that they are
near the almost before you get to North Caldwell.
Right,
You
I
know
know.
where the community center is, right
Yeah.
there.
Where
100.
that mercantile was, they ripped to death. Yeah.
So it's in every place. This is one of the ways they're doing this. There's a place near Madison that has, it's called Independence Way is this one, but it's right near, actually, I don't know if
Park.
Florham Park, right near where the Jets have their training facility.
Yeah.
But there's a very big place, and it's all different agencies have supervised housing in there.
Has to pay, like.
No, the individual, so it really depends. I will say,
To live there, like.
no, they get a budget. Now, the budget, the question is what you want to do. We decided we would buy a house because we wanted him to have big boned house and not just have an apartment or a
And then
small.
it gives you more control.
There are a million reasons why that was what we selected, but it doesn't have to be that way. Some of these apartments are quite nice. Some of the older houses are not. Some of them are like, are not taken care of that well.
Mm.
And the agencies don't always have the money to upkeep it. So you have to, but they're all different things to look at, all different ways that you do that. There are different builders that specialize in this. Some are better than others in these homes, but you want to have ADA bathrooms. You want to have a certain aging in place able for some of these places. Sometimes in some of these homes, there are people who are medically infirm, right? And frankly, if they're not continuously given both cognitive engagement and physical engagement, they're going to get worse.
Oh,
So
My
that,
husband.
no, thank you.
Oh.
so that is, so there's all different models. You have to pick the model that's right for your person, for your adult. And that won't be the same as the person next to you. You just have to, figure out what works best for them. They may have certain issues that you want to have them in a house with other people like them. They may have certain issues where it's better if there are people who are different, and so it can be a big mix of what you want.
Can they live there?
Forever.
Really?
Yeah.
We'll have somebody from JSDD come here to
Oh,
talk.
yeah.
We've actually had, it's actually Rebecca
Rebecca
Winetic.
Winetic, yes.
She has come here before to speak about DDD services, and she gave an explanation, but now she is now working for JSDD as the
Oh,
director,
wow.
right? Is she
She's associate director.
associate
Linda
director?
Press is the director.
So we'll have her come and talk again in her new role about how JSDD works.
Yeah.
I work with Becca like every day. I mean a lot. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
A lot.
That's great that, Ellen has her own house, is that to get into the really good places, you could be on a waiting list for 3-4 years.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
So now that Gabby's 18, now I got to start to explore, I don't know if and I'm emotional thinking about it. And knowing my child, I feel like it's going to be difficult for her. But it's certainly something that, we have to try. But yeah, so I'm
How
gonna be.
soon can you start working on it when they're like?
So
18?
yeah, so we're going through all the process now of, everything else to get her on so that we can get her on a waiting list, right?
Before she turns 21, so that when the time comes.
Well, and you don't know if you want her exactly 21. You may want to give her, everybody is going to be different. And some of it is, are the parents ready? Or
Yes.
do the parents need it?
Mhm.
Parents of adults
Mm.
with, children with disabilities are tired.
Oh.
There are some that I have seen that were really, I know someone who was so involved when her son was younger and she's just beaten, like she's just tired.
I mean, I looked at myself this morning, I was like, girl.
That's right.
And I just want to point out that if you have a child who is in residential, you jump the wait list for housing because the state has already deemed your
What do you mean
child,
residential?
if your child is in a residential facility, like a residential school, or has been an out-of-home placement. If your child is in an out-of-home placement,
Okay.
and I'm saying this for people online as well, if your child is in an out-of-home placement, the state is paying for it, they have already deemed your child unsafe to be at home
By themselves.
by themselves. So you jump
Already-
the
That
wait
makes
list
sense.
because they can't send that person home
Right.
because they've already said it's not safe for them.
Totally.
So that's something to know, which is, it's unfortunate that that's the situation, but the positive is that they get housing
Yeah.
sooner.
They may also look at the parents and say, how old are the parents? What
Yes.
kind of physical
Oh.
shape are the
After
parents in?
55, I think it's
Yeah, okay.
after 55, you're also considered priority because
Right.
you might not be around, and it's something else to think about is that a lot of people think, oh, I want my child to be at home with us,
Right.
it's okay. And as the parents age, the child ages, and then they're gonna be less flexible as they get older to
Exactly.
move into a different kind of a setting. So it
Exactly.
behooves everyone to do this earlier rather than later, so
Right.
that let's say, God forbid, something happens to the parents as they age. That child, imagine going from living at home and all of a sudden the parent is gone or unable to take care of them, and they have to quickly move into a housing situation that is so different. That's not in the best,
Right.
interest of the child. So it's, these are all things to
Yeah.
think about. Even if you think, I want to live with my child,
Right.
is that good for the child if?
Yeah, and I'm thinking about it because, okay, she's already at school 6+ hours a day, right? So if we segue from that, even if we're just seeing how it works in whatever environment, at least it's going from you're not home all day and still now you're not home all day.
Right.
Rather than now you're home for a couple of years, you're like, okay, this is not working now.
So they will continue in their day program, right? So if they are in a residence, they can still
Okay.
go to it. They go to their day program. It doesn't have to disrupt their entire life,
Mhm.
but it is something that I remember we made a decision that by 25, we thought it would be appropriate for Dan to be somewhere else. And we modeled it after sort of our daughter and said, look, she was away, and we talked to him about that. I don't know how much he necessarily got, but we talked to him about that. I think because of COVID, he was 26 when we did it, but we started this a long time ago. I think my husband researched for 10 years some of this, where to go, what to do. And we worked on this for a very long time. We first had to accept that he was never going to be really independent ourselves. You had to just accept that. But that's not necessarily an easy thing. Once you come to that, then it really is on you
It hits home, yeah.
to figure out, is it close to you that's best? Is it something that, again, some people like a farm, some people like, or they want a day program. They want what's associated. Some day programs have a residential. We actually made a decision to have them in two different places, as one is like sort of a control over the other. If there's a problem with one, we can see the other one, but they collaborate, they have meetings once a month together. They do, there's a lot you can do.
There are so many different options, and it is important. We just found out that one of the housing situations we're looking at, they make you go to their day program, and it's in Paramus. And some housing situations, you can go to any day program that's right near home. So it's really important to investigate, talk to other people, but we'll have more talks about that. There's somebody online who's asking a question, if you want to read that.
I had a conversation with the New Jersey Ombudsman of Disabled Persons last year, who's just left, right, Paul Aronson, and he shared that a problem in the industry is that there are no consequences when disabled adults are abused in group homes or programs. The staff member in question is usually fired, but that's it. No oversight of the agency, no fines. So just last week, there was a few statutes, actually legislation that was passed that talked about abuse issues and fines against the agency. Now, you can find the agency, but who gets hurt when you find the agency? Usually
Yeah.
then the residents get fewer services,
Yeah.
right?
Oh.
So they have to so they're trying to come up with a way where the fine has to be applied to help to make the place better and to have the proper training. But abuse is a horrible thing. Obviously, you never want abuse, but that can't be the standard.
Yes.
Again,
That's-
no abuse. Like, oh, really?
Like,
No.
but what is the oversight? What is the level of transparency that a parent has or
That's up
caregiver
to
has?
you. Up to you. You want to have more, you want to be involved, you want to see, you make yourself known. You tell them you want to meet with them. It's up to you. Again, sometimes parents are like, or there are no parents left. The parents have gone, the parents have passed, and then there's who's watching, for the child. You have to think about all those things too, and who's going to continue. Do they have siblings? Not every person has siblings, or a sibling who's capable of doing it, or lives in the same community. I was at one house.
You want to disrupt their lives as well, right?
Yes, look, I was at one house where there's an individual who was blind and had a feeding tube, lived in the same house for 17 years. He had been dropped as an infant at the doorstep someplace and had only lived in this thing, in this sort of in some institutional setting for his entire life. And the people who worked in that house also for 17 years. I mean, this was an amazing situation where the three residents lived together for 17 years and the staff all was there for the same time, but they also became a little bit. Yes, exactly. So that was one of the things. And I will tell you that staff, I didn't think they were going to change. They were really good. They said, we were complacent. This is really helpful to us. I was shocked. I actually thought when I went in there, oh man, these people are never going to listen to anything I have to say. And they were so good.
People want to take pride in their work. I mean,
They did.
It's human nature. We want to feel good about how we're spending our days, to feel good about ourselves,
right,
and
yeah.
we need to give these people an opportunity to have that. You know, people who work with our community.
Yeah,
And this is just an amazing thing. I just want to be mindful of
yeah.
the
Time.
time. Somebody else, okay, we got that. Is there anyone else online who has a question, or want to say anything before we end? It's 11:05. I just want to be respectful of Ellen's time and everyone else's. Any questions, comments? No? All right, well, we are going to get, we'll share Ellen's information. If you have any questions after this, Ellen, thank you so much for this. This is so informative.
Yes.
We need to know, it's scary to, as I posted this,
Someone says,
I felt, I was aware of the fact that, when we have younger kids, we don't want to hear about these things because it's very depressing. It potentially, so I understand if people don't even want to know about it, if they're so far away from it, but it is always nice to have, to have some information so that we can either work towards a better way. But we're all on our own journey, and we need to be aware of what's out there and what we can do to make things better for the future.
there's one other question.
Yeah, there's another question. You want to read
Have
that?
you seen a reduction in staff turnover? That is a really good question. We like to think that we have. It's very hard to actually measure because staff leaves for all different reasons. They leave because they may not like their supervisor. They leave because for family reasons, they can
Or they
leave
get
for,
paid more money.
or they get paid more money at Target or at, Starbucks or someplace else.
Yep.
So there could be a lot of reasons, but we have seen that people have said to us, they feel like more empowered. They feel like it's a better life for them. So I appreciate the question because there's a lot of turnover.
Oh, and that's very challenging for our kids. Nobody wants to transition, and yeah, you need to have people. And that's what I'm so concerned about because, people leave the profession, the profession, quote unquote, all the time.
Right.
All right, is there one more? Or
No,
no?
that was just.
Okay, all right, thank you so much, everybody. I'm gonna end the Zoom. Thank you all for coming and being a part of this. Ellen, thank you again.
Sure.